Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and that's right guys, you read the title of this review, and yeah, I've been looking forward to reviewing this. That's right, I am reviewing Robert the Bruce. So yeah, I'll first read the story. After assassinating William Wallace in the freedom struggle depicted in Braveheart, Robert the Bruce has crowned himself King of Free Scotland, but the English are determined to regain their lost territory, battle after battle. Yeah. Robert is defeated, and the Scottish nobility turns their backs on him. From nothing, with freedom as the only driving force, the king rises once again to fight for his country. So, the first things I have to say about Robert the Bruce, well, there are those that say that it's not really a follow-up to Braveheart, but, I've looked at it on IMDb and I've done my sources. It is supposed to be the continuing story of where Braveheart left off. William Wallace's, execution, freedom struggle, that kind of stuff, and Robert the Bruce kind of being the next William Wallace, and he crowned himself, king, as I read the story. And another thing is, Angus McFadden, who, once again, plays Robert the Bruce. It took him 12 years to write the script until, finally, it was made. And, so it is kind of nice that, we got this, that, we get more of Robert the Bruce from Braveheart, because, Robert the Bruce was a pretty good character in that film, and I forget, because I know I've reviewed Braveheart before, but I think, Braveheart must have left the door open for adventures with Robert the Bruce, I want to say, if I remember correctly. So, yeah. And, of course, yeah, this movie mentioning William Wallace at times, and, especially because there's a bit of narration to it. Anna Hutchinson, Hutchinson, if I'm saying the last name right correctly, there's no N. She plays Morrick, and she's narrating a bit of the story, and to her son, Scott, narrating, stories of Robert the Bruce, and other stories to her son, I guess their adventure or life or something like that, if I remember correctly. And yeah, because Robert, he, at one point, tells his men to go home. And even at one point, some of his men that were once with him, they're kind of going after him, I guess. But that's when, there is the sheriff named Brandub, if I'm saying that right. Again, bear with me if I pronounce some of these names wrong. Brandub, played by Zach McGowan, he's a sheriff, and you know what? He's on Robert the Bruce's butt. He is on the trail, trying to find him, and of course, so, but yeah, and, I gotta say, I think this had a pretty good cast in this film. For example, the family that found and help and heal and take care of Robert the Bruce when they discover him, because, after he told his men to go home, he's all by himself trying to protect himself and survive. And there's one moment where he's in a cave where it has to do with a spider making the web. That's kind of an important part for him. And he, at one point, had this dream, and in his dream, he dreamt that somebody was in his dream, I should say, and that was Scott, Morrick's son, played by Gabriel Bateman. Yeah, I think I got that right. And also, Morrick's niece and nephew, her niece Ivor, played by Tathila Bateman. Oh, okay, so now I can see that, yeah. she's the sister of Gabriel. Okay, that's understandable. I kind of actually didn't know that at first. And then there's Morik's nephew, Carney, played by Brandon Lassard. Hey, I think I got that right. We find out interesting facts about her niece and nephew, they were at war with Robert the Bruce. They fought, with Robert the Bruce's men, and Carney's father had fought with William Wallace, if I'm correct. I think so, yeah. And even say Scott, his father, and of course, Morik's husband, he died, and he had fought alongside with Robert the Bruce, if I'm correct, or fought against Robert the Bruce, I kind of forget, but, and even, say, Scott, he did at one point see Robert the Bruce, and this was before, they discovered him after he was freezing to death because, one location is, of course, some tombstones, one of them being, Scott's father, of course. And when, Robert the Bruce, he went up to the tombstones, that's when he just collapsed, and boom, and that's when, of course, Carney, Ivor, and Scott, they discovered Robert the Bruce, and they took him in. And I think, Scott had a grudge against Robert the Bruce at first, but as the film proceeded, and with Robert the Bruce getting to know them more, and with talk and so on, they start to grow attached, and, a bond and so on, and it's Robert became a part of their family, and they became family to him, which that was pretty good. I liked that. And also, we have Carney's girlfriend, Brianna, played by the beautiful, talented Emma Kenney, and her father, Old Sean, being played by Kevin McNally, if I'm saying his last name right, yeah, a.k.a. Gibbs from Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, he's a great guy, and he's a good actor, and it was awesome seeing him in this film, and no matter what he does, he's good. Yeah. So, he plays Old Sean, Brianna's father, and he is a weapons builder, and even, say, he was helping build weapons for Brandon and his men. Again, the ones that are after Robert the Bruce's tail. So, So, as I said, Brianna, being Carney's girlfriend, I can definitely tell, they're the love that they have for each other. You can just, I knew right there and then. Also, as I said earlier, that a couple of Robert the Bruce's men that he had them, go home, they were after him. They, came across Brandub. They, one of them told them of the whereabouts of Robert the Bruce, and, two of them were already dead, and Brandub, he killed the other. And the sword that Brandub discovered, well, because interesting thing is that he is the brother of Morik's husband, and he's the uncle to Scott. So, when, him and his sister-in-law, they have a talk, Brandub has, Carney, go take the sword to Old Sean, and even Brandub, he lied to Carney about the sword that, didn't tell him it was Robert's sword. So, mean uncle, I should say. Hey, right next to Scar. Why not? I just felt like mentioning it. It's true, evil uncles. And so, and also, Old Sean, as I said, because, he builds weapons, he built weapons for Brandub and his men, because, they're going after Robert the Bruce, and even, Brianna, she finds out about this, and, when Robert the Bruce is brought in by Morik and the kids, word has been spread out. One of Brandub's men spies, at the home and discovers that Robert is there. And also, like, there was this, like, montage of them just having a good time. And while Robert was healing after getting, hit by a bow and arrow and so on. And at that point, yeah, because, again, one of Brandub's men discovers that Robert is there and, of course, tells Brandub. And Brianna does find out, and, because of how much she loves Carney, she has to warn them, and of course, she discovers that, yeah, it's true, Robert the Bruce is there. They brought him in and helped him, and that was very sweet, because, when Brianna said to Carney, if you run, I'm coming with you. So yeah, talk about true love right there, and of course, the big battle happens, the next morning. Like, at first, a simple talk between Brandub and Morik, and, even at one point, geez, he goes in for a kiss, and, I guess I could tell, like, well, Morik, I don't think she really, like, loved him, not romantically, I guess, and, just Brandub just wanting to marry her, and, like, he'll take care of her and the kids, but, like, of course, that could never happen. Like, she would not want that to happen. And, of course, Robert the Bruce finally reveals himself to Brandub and his men, and even, like, say, one of Brandub's men turns against him and, like, now is on the side of Robert the Bruce. And, of course, the big battle happens, and, gosh, it was kind of upsetting, because I will say that I think this film does its very best with some emotional moments, definitely. And I was very sad to see that Brianna got killed. She didn't survive. I was like, wow, like, that's really upsetting and heartbreaking. And for Carney, they could have gotten married, and have their happily ever after. Maybe they would have had kids, like, but no. And what would her father think? That's another thing, like, that the movie never establishes that, like, Brianna runs off to warn them, and that's the last we see of old Sean. He's just sitting at his table, just, I think he probably had a good feeling, like, he didn't do anything. That was it. We never saw him again. Well, so much for old Sean. But yeah, and also, yeah, one of Brandub's men who, joined the good side, I should say Robert the Bruce's side, well, he fought the other men, and, he, of course, got killed, and so did Brandub. Like, Morik, she killed, her brother-in-law, and, she had to, of course. Brandub, you could tell, because he could never turn the good side. Like, he couldn't. And of course, the battle ends, and, one moment where Carney, like, mourning Brianna, and again, that was really sad for him, feel bad for Carney. And of course, they go off, and eventually, near the end of the movie, they meet with the McDonald brothers, David and Angus, and they also meet up with James Douglas and their tribe, and, a new age of freedom, I guess you could say, and, Robert the Bruce now officially being king. And a few other things I'd like to point out. At one point, Robert, he was talking to Morik, he thought that God had, wanting him to become king, stuff like that. But, Robert realized that actually that wasn't the case, and, like, he defied God. And also, Morik having this fear and worry about her son Scott, and, visiting this, witch, sorcerer, I want to say, and, you know, and also, a couple of emotional stuff in this film. So yeah. And then the ending to the film, well, Morik, she, narrates one last time, and we see her at her son's grave, who at some point, sadly died, and finishing the story to her son. And, we get one last text of scrolls of what Robert the Bruce did next, and, it seemed like Scotland, was finally at peace and, free and stuff like that. And, there was a bit of text scroll at the beginning of the film talking about, the events of William Wallace and what Robert the Bruce did next after, the death of William Wallace. So yeah, that was pretty nice. And the song number that plays during the credits, I think that was pretty good. Yeah, not bad. So yeah, Robert the Bruce, I think, is actually a pretty good film. Maybe not the best, and, maybe not the best continuation of, Braveheart, but still, I think it's not that bad and pretty decent. And, how do I rate this? Good question. What the heck? I'll give it, yeah, the fingers. 8 out of 10 stars. That's right. 8 out of 10 stars for Robert the Bruce. And what about you guys? What did you think of Robert the Bruce? Have you ever seen this film? And what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review a like as always. So, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Robert the Bruce. More reviews coming your way. They're gonna be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video/review. And stay tuned later tonight, because the next film I'm gonna be reviewing, well, let's just say it's the sequel to the World of Lego. Everything is awesome. You probably know what I'm talking about. So stay tuned for that. Take care, and peace out.